Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing? I missed you. It's been about a week now. Welcome to The Big Show, hosted by myself, Jimmy Smith. The Big Show is a podcast where we all get together and talk about some really important things going on in men's life. Things like dating, the world, masculinity, and the hard truth about just being a man. Today's topic is one that's it was requested of me to do, and that is, what are some things that really suck about being a man? Now, listen, in an era of unprecedented progress and evolving social norms, societal norms, okay, it's important to acknowledge that being a man in today's world can present its own, unique set of challenges, complexity. Yeah. I'll say it nicely, right? I mean, and while it's crucial to recognize the significant strides that have been made in promoting gender equality and dismantling harmful stereotypes, it is still equally important to shed a little bit of light on the issues that men face in a rapidly changing society. So today, I think that men find themselves at the crossroads of societal expectations, where traditional roles and modern norms often clash with more inclusive and progressive ideals. I think that's right. I think that's where we're at right now, where tradition and modern are clashing and men are kind of having a hard time finding their way. And this dynamic tension can leave many men feeling a little uncertain. Do you see how nice I'm being?
You're being, wow, that is the most PC I've ever seen you.
Well, a friend of mine's mother, Tracy's mother, is on right now. So Tracy's mom, hello, Tracy. I'm trying to be PJ for Tracy's mom. Okay, so just okay. So, and so as men grapple with, shifting landscapes that demand them to reconsider their roles, identities, and personal relationships, guys are kind of having a hard time figuring out where they stand in today's modern world. So here to help me talk about the complexities of being a man in today's world, and someone who's only about 3.5 inches away from being transgender himself. Okay, sorry, I said PG, I went there. I said PG, but I went there. Yeah. Folks, give it a one time for the creator of Pissed Off Parrot, my buddy Dwayne Ward.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey, all right. So, Dwayne, now you and I know firsthand the struggles that men are going through because, we help Eric run the channel Dad Talk Today. We get to hear all the stories, okay? And, this ever-changing world from what we knew masculine men to be kind of back when we were growing up. Like, if you think about the idols that we had growing up in the 80s, such as Schwarzenegger, we had Van Damme.
Yes.
We had these masculine, muscular, ripped
Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime. Yeah. Let's go with that. So we go from all those types of masculine, qualities and characteristics to the more feminized version of superheroes that our kids have to look up today. I mean, when you look at some of the superheroes in the Marvel movies and things like that, they're not really the most masculine looking. I mean, some of those guys don't even look like they even can do a couple push-ups themselves.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to throw any heat. I'm just saying. So, Dwayne, I mean, do you think that men are feeling the confusion and effects of living in a world where they grow up to be taught that masculinity is toxic and men are hateful misogynist?
Oh, yeah. That's all we get. Situational. We want conservative man, but yet we want to be strong and independent. We can do it all on our own, and we get yelled at if we do it this way. We get yelled at if we do it that way. We get yelled at if we don't do it this. Men are just really in a no-win situation, which is why a lot of them have checked out of society. They're not dating anymore. They're not contributing. They're not looking at the picket fences. They're not doing the things that they've traditionally done. They're not, they've been removed quite a bit as the man of the house. They've been told to their face repeatedly that they're not important in society. They've been told they're not needed, not wanted, which again, if things have changed here in a little bit, we're going to see just how true that is.
Yeah, good point.
And conflicts happening,
toxic masculinity gets kind of thrown out the window whenever war begins, doesn't it?
It's kind of weird how that happens. Yeah, everyone's all about equality until the draft ramps up again, or
So
it's
bullets start
time
to
to.
fly and bombs start to drop, then people start falling right into their gender roles, don't they?
Yeah, we're all equality until there is a break in the glass, or your front door gets kicked, and it's really weird, or the car breaks down, or the bills pile up, or something in the house breaks.
Interesting.
We know how that works. We're
So,
all just, we are stunning and brave until a number of things like that happen. Just
it's true, man. Now you have 3 teenage boys yourself. Is that correct?
2 boys and 1 daughter.
Gotcha. Okay, so you got 2, and they're both teenagers.
Well, no, I got a 22-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Okay,
the boys,
so
and
they're
then 19-year-old for the girl.
yeah. So let me ask a question. What are they saying? Like, are they still too young? Well, they're not too young because they're both grown men, but are they kind of confused about the expectations of them being a man, and confused about the messages that the world's giving them?
Bluntly, putting this very bluntly, I would say they're not confused. They've been to a degree. Well, my younger one definitely has been red pilled. He saw what his biological mother did to me, and has seen the world, and I, of course, inoculated them as best I could. So he doesn't want to date. He doesn't want to get a girlfriend. Doesn't want to go down that path, especially with the way the laws are, the Me Too movement, all the dangers that he can get into just by simply being a guy.
Yeah.
My older one, he's learned the lessons. He's dating, and they're working through those things. So I kind of keep keep that as PC as I can. I have my reservations, just gonna, no bones about it, because a lot, unfortunately, the women that are out there in the public square, they have adopted a lot of this belief. And even women that are claiming to be red pill do the exact, they fall into that, we're stunning and brave movement pretty quickly when it suits them.
Right.
And I guess we need to say now, these are not Jimmy, the views expressed on this episode, at least, of the Big Show, are not necessarily Jimmy's. So if he gets in trouble later down the road, he can say it was all my fault.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I have a rare, unique ability or chance, really, to talk to a bunch of men and women, of course, but doing counseling and coaching as I do. So it gives me a unique perspective and a paradigm about the world, of what I think the lion's share of the people out there are feeling. And being a part of the Dad Talk Today channel also gives me a look into the minds of grown men, and how they're handling dating, being married, being out of a marriage, handling their children, things like that. And I would say that there's a lot of guys out there that are, they're struggling. Now, keep in mind, this podcast today, this has nothing to do with suppressing or stepping on women in order to talk about how bad men have it. This is not what this is. This is just this is more of a guys type of show. And I want to also give guys a voice, if you could, to kind of understand and talk about some of the challenges that we're going through. And I tell you, the Big Show podcast actually has more female viewers than any other channel, any other show on Dad Talk Today. And I'd like to think that the reason why that is because women are starting to care a little bit more about, the troubles that men are going through, because, there's still a lot of women out there who do believe that men are important, that men are needed, and that men are wanted. And so they're starting to learn the minds and the thoughts of men out there. So that's what I like to think that a lot of the women that are tuning in are here for, today what we're going to do is we're going to explore some of the reasons why it can be very challenging for men in contemporary society, from the pressure to conform to traditional stereotypes of masculinity, to the struggles associated with addressing mental health concerns. The journey of being a man in the modern world is marked by its own set of trials and its own set of tribulations. And this exploration aims to foster a better understanding of the issues that men face today. So encouraging constructive dialogue, promoting empathy for the diverse experiences of men in a world that is continuously evolving is really going to be important. So let's recognize that from the experience of being a man today, that experience can vary greatly depending on one individual circumstance and perspective. So while there may be certain challenges or issues that some men face in society, we're going to uncover or cover some of the more general challenges that men complain about and voice their opinions over whenever I'm talking to them. So that said, let's go over a few reasons, some, common reasons that men might find challenging in today's world. And one of the biggest, and I put this one first because it is the one that I constantly hear about. One of the things that sucks about being a man in today's world is the financial stress of being a man. Yeah. That is the number one, right? So it's not that women don't go through financial stress or hardship either, but whenever a man is imported into a relationship, his umbrella, everyone falls under that umbrella, right? Yeah. So he's responsible for the kids just like she would be, fair, but now he's responsible for her in addition to the kids. So the burden always kind of falls on him. There's not many women and there's not many relationships that I know of. And being a relationship, coach, if you will, I get a chance to talk to a few of these relationships out there. Yeah, and anecdotal. I cannot think of one where the woman of the relationship is the breadwinner in terms of she makes the most money, but also pays the most into it. I have, however, seen where she makes more money, but even though he doesn't, he still takes on the lion's share of the bills.
Right.
But I have not seen one yet where she makes, let's say she makes 100 and he makes 60. I'm just throwing out numbers here. And so she takes on, let's call it 70% of the bills or 60% of the bills, and he takes on 40 or 30. And just like Dwayne's pointing out, it doesn't happen. No. So whenever a woman inserts a man into her life, she often, it's pretty commonly known that the burden's going to fall on the shoulders of that man. And financial stress can significantly affect men in various ways. And it's important to recognize its impact on the overall well-being of men. So I don't want to gloss over this particular one because it's one that it seems every man, with the exception of the top 5%, are really having a hard time with. And let's talk about some of the things that men go through and derive from having this financial stress. And these guys do not like to necessarily talk about this. No. I could not get any man on the show today to come and talk about this because they don't want their face out in public. Because they feel that people will look at them a little differently should they agree with my stance on this issue. But the one thing that financial stress, one of the burdens that financial stress places on the man of today is his mental health. Financial stress leads to anxiety, depression, and other mental issues. Men are very less likely to seek help or discuss their feelings openly, to the point that I reached out to a few myself and they politely turned me down. And this can exacerbate the impact on their mental health. Guys just don't want to talk about their burdens. They just want to just suck it up because we've been taught our entire lives that if we share how we feel, we're less than manly. We're not supposed to feel. We're not supposed to hurt. The pressure to provide is another one that comes along with financial stress. Because as we just pointed out, societal expectations often place the burden of providing for the family on the men. I mean, let me just 99.99999% of the time, it's placed on the burden of the men to do so, right? And when they face financial difficulties, it can damage their self-esteem and their sense of self-worth.
Well, we're required to produce that and I don't know if it's in our DNA or we were told early on, but our worth in society is what we can produce. Providing, that's what we do. And if we're no longer providing, what's our worth? We don't have one.
And you nailed it, Dwayne, because there has been smarter people than me that have come out and made this argument. So I did not make this up. I do agree with it mostly. I don't know if I agree with it entirely, but I definitely agree with it mostly. And some of the brainiacs of today's world basically said that the only people or the only things that are loved unconditionally are women, children, and animals.
Yeah.
And men are not loved unconditionally. They are only loved under the condition that they can provide resources to the people who count on them to do so.
Right.
So to Dwayne's point, you know, if you have a man, and ladies, think about this. I know it hurts a little for you to hear that, but it's not too far off. If your man
head on,
yeah, I mean, if
truth hurts.
If your man loses his job and can't find employment for a number of months, don't you feel a little differently about him?
Yeah.
Do you still see him as a leader of the household? Do you still respect him the same? Let's be honest. No, you don't.
No,
you don't. And there has been many of men that are listening to this right now, myself included, who have been disowned or the relationships have ended when that man has fallen into bouts of, let's call it financial lapsing, right? You lose your job or whatever.
My first ex-wife told me if I lost my job, she would divorce me.
I remember you saying that.
Thinking back, I should have taken that as a challenge, but aside from that, or as a welcome thing. But yeah, that was, I mean, hypergamy is a real thing. I mean, that when you lose your job, I mean, Chris Rock there was a comedy special where he joked about that. It's like they won't, or was it Eddie Murphy? They won't divorce you right then and there sometimes or break up with you, but the clock starts ticking if you lose your job and you can't provide enough for them.
I think that was Chris Rock. I think you're right.
Was it Rock? Yeah. So
what's going on in the comment section? Why is everyone so quiet out there?
I know. Maybe they're stunned or they're calling.
Are you guys stunned? Come on, this is not new news to you guys. You guys, if you agree or if you disagree, put it in the comments.
Sound off. I mean,
sound off. Let's hear it. So talking about that relationship strain, right? Financial stress can put an absolute strain on relationships, including marriages and partnerships. And men will feel the pressure to support their families. And if they cannot meet these expectations, it's going to lead to conflicts and even divorce.
Well, where does the buck end? When you turn 70 years old, you're married, you got kids, and you turn 70, who we're going to look to make sure the 401k is funded, the IRAs are funded, and you can put a roof over the head? Who are you going to look to?
Right.
I get a little angry about this because, while I'm saying this generically, while I'm making sacrifices and making sure that the family is taken care of, she's making sure that she can get the latest Taylor Swift concert tickets. I'm saying that's generically; it's not specific, but that the goal. I mean, it's let's do a trip, let's do this, and I'm like, we've got to make sure we've got enough for retirement because that day will come, and then everyone's going to look to the man. What are we going to do? How can we do this? And
think about the irony of this too, right? If you were to, like, you're expected to lead, I'm expected to lead, the men are expected to
only lead. When you're allowed to.
and if we're allowed to lead and we're making decisions for the betterment of our families, and we want to give Taylor Swift tickets to the people that we love at $1,500, $2,000 a pop.
Yeah.
And because we want them to be happy, but doing so limits our ability to save for retirement. Whenever retirement day finally arises, do you think they go back and go, well, it's partly my fault because I know you gave me what I wanted with the Taylor Swift tickets? No, they don't care.
Jump ship.
Yeah, they don't care. They just they don't care how hard it was for you to get to where you need to get. Yep. They don't care what you had to give up in order to get there. They just care that you finally crossed the finish line. They don't care what it takes. And that's the real problem that men have with a lot of women today, is that we are not, no one sees the hard work that we do. They just see the tip of the iceberg that's sticking outside the water, but not the vast, huge iceberg that remains under the water, or, what had to happen for that man to finally cross that finish line. And you will be judged, men. You will be judged on the day that you guys decide to retire, if you guys can even get to retirement and have enough years left in your life to be able to enjoy the damn thing. So, men know far too well the pros and cons of making tough decisions and letting people down, because I'm sorry, but if you were to take $2,000 for a Taylor Swift concert ticket and place it into a mutual fund that is resting on the NASDAQ or something, and just let it ride with the ebb and flow of the market, and you've got 25 or 30 years, you've got yourself tens of thousands of dollars from that initial $2,000 investment. You know,
but they'll get mad at you for not letting them or not doing the Taylor Swift tickets.
Right. Yeah. You know, so there's a lot of damn if you do, damn if you don't kind of stance on as far as men goes. You know, another thing too that some people don't really realize is that financial strain can put a burden on your career aspirations as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, men experience stress due to their career aspirations and the desire to achieve financial success. And that pressure can lead to overworking, job dissatisfaction, and burnout. You know, if the guys are not producing the amount of money that they want to produce, what happens is they usually will work longer hours. They won't take vacations. They get burned out, and they don't chase their dreams. And because this job that I hate at least pays me X, Y, Z, and I don't have the luxury of taking a step back financially to hope to move 3 steps forward. So I'm going to stay with this job that, you know, brings me dissatisfaction for the betterment of my family.
Right. That's why we work the long hours. That's why we get paid more, so we can provide for our family that generally doesn't appreciate it. But that's why we do it. And that's why we that's why we make more money. Because, and then the study came out, this is not, you know, my personal anecdotal information. Men make more money because we work the jobs that women don't want to work. We work the longer hours. This is not opinion. This is data, cold data.
You know,
that's why it happens.
We're more likely to take on dangerous jobs. When you look at job deaths, men have 94%. Far more. I mean, you know, 94% of all work-related deaths are men. You know, men are out there doing the dangerous jobs that no one else wants to do. And, you know, when you the more dangerous or the harder the job, the more compensation comes with that, because competence, it gets compensated. Simple as that. Another thing too, kind of going back to the emotional thing, you know, when you have financial stress as a man, you suffer through stifled emotions. Society, you know, expects men to be stoic, not express vulnerability. And financial stress can often create a sense of shame and failure, preventing these men from seeking emotional support or discussing their struggles openly. And we know what happens whenever men bottle these things up. They go from becoming good men to sometimes doing bad things and becoming bad men.
Collecting Transformers,
Another Transformer reference?
Collecting Transformers, yeah.
Oh, collecting them. Yes, yes. It also can affect men's physical health. You know, financial stress can lead to physical health problems like heart disease, high blood pressure, sleep disruptions.
Loss of hair. Yeah,
loss of hair, you know.
Gray hair.
At least you got it, though. At least you got it.
I'm only 25, so.
Yeah. Oh, is that what? Yeah. So that's how burdening this plays on this man. He just turned 25 like 2 months ago.
I know, yeah.
Another one too, and guys are going to nod their head in agreement to this one, is substance abuse.
Oh yeah.
Substance abuse. Men turn to alcohol and drugs as a coping mechanism to deal with financial stress, and that can lead to addictions, and that just compounds their problems. Retirement concerns, to the point you made earlier. Men worry about saving for retirement, providing for families after they retire, and inadequate savings or investments can lead to stress and uncertainty about their future. Social isolation is another one. These guys just withdraw from social activities due to shame and the ability to even afford to do the social abilities. And that leads to a big sense of loneliness. And another couple things that financial stress can place on a man that some people may not, or some women may not know, is legal issues. In some extreme cases, financial stress can lead to legal issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and those can leave a long-term consequences for men's financial stability and well-being. And the last one is kind of like a lack of health care. Like in some cases, men will actually avoid seeking medical or mental health due to financial constraints.
Yeah.
Guys will literally have a effing heart attack and worry about the bill that will come from the ambulance taking them to the doctor's office and say, I'm good. And so men will men will sacrifice their lives or their health worrying about the financial stress that a ambulance ride might bring on their family.
Well, that's where I'm at right now. I've got well, my hip's getting worse. Actually, my wife is like, you should go to the doctor. I'm like, no, because they'll end up charging me $10, $20, $30,000 over the next whatever, and nothing's going to really get better, and I'll be as broke and a hurt hip. So you just suck it up and move on.
One of the guys that I spoke to when I was putting the show together said, and I quote, "As a father trying not to let my family feel the financial stress of the past couple of years, working more hours, starting a side business, and feeling like I'm barely getting by while not missing these years with my 5-year-old and 2-year-old." So, these guys are feeling it. So let's go over some other ones besides financial stress. What kind of sucks about being a man today is surface level conversations. One guy had said to me that conversations with other guys, they usually center around surface level subjects like sports, work, etc.
Yep.
And if you bring up the fact that you've been really unhappy lately,
ghosted,
you're almost certain to get weird looks other than the support that you need.
Yeah, you're ghosted. You're thought of as weird, weak. If you say that you have, I'm depressed or just things aren't going well, or you're thought of as weak, and your men have to be strong.
Yeah. So emotional suppression's a really big one too with guys. My goodness, man. I tell you, listening to some of these stories, going through it myself, watching these grown men break down when they just had enough, it's just heartbreaking. And, these surface level conversations often discourage men from even expressing their true emotions and vulnerabilities because men feel the pressure to hide their feelings all the time. And that leads to emotional suppression and the lack of emotional connection with other people.
It gets used against you. We've talked about that before, where when a man finally opens up to his woman, she inadvertently uses it against him, laughs about it, tells her friends, or if they're having an argument, uses it against him. So what's the lesson to be learned? Don't share your feelings. Yet again, don't share your feelings.
And what happens when you don't share your feelings? You roll right into isolation. Yep. Because these superficial conversations lead to a sense of loneliness and isolation. And men may feel that they cannot connect deeply with other people, other men, other women, their own wives sometimes. And that leads to social isolation and the lack of meaningless relationships. And when you don't get around other people, that rolls into communication skills, or I should say lack thereof. And so you've got this lack of practicing and engaging in deeper conversations that can hinder men's conversational skills. Look at some of the teenagers of today's world right now with their Nintendos and their pocket.
Now you're sounding old.
Yeah, what are they?
Nintendos.
What's the one Nintendo they used to have? The little white one. What is that?
Oh,
do you remember that one?
They had the Game Boy back in the day.
The Game Boy, yeah. Okay. What do they play now? I don't even know what they even play now.
My kids. I guess all these kids are on their phones just nonstop. That's all they do is stare at their phone and play it on there. I mean, Switch is probably, as far as a handheld, probably one of the newer ones out there. But I mean, most of them are PC gaming. It looks like Todd mentioned the PS5. As far as what kids, when I see, I mean, in having teenagers and young adults and just kind of surveying the landscape, it seems like kids today they don't have the communication skills. They don't have those life skills. One, because the father who used to instill those things has been systematically removed from the family. Yeah. Again, we have I think in Texas, or no, I'm sorry, in the United States, we're at 26% single mother-led homes where the father's removed. So they that structure, so they don't know like that communication. They don't have those skills, and they get out into the real world and they're just not prepared. We have a lot of coddling going on, to where kids they don't know how to interact and exist and do things. They have everything, the participation trophies and all those different things. But yeah, as far as, the things that suck for men in the world, I go back to kind of the tried and true stuff, which is, a lot of the folks that are on the show is that, were brought up to believe that, they find a good girl, they settle down, they have children, and they have a happy life. And that's just not in the cards, because if you look at the numbers, I'll be nice and just say 3 out of 3. If you put 3 rounds into a 6-chambered Second Amendment option, that's the odds of a man, making it through this with his life, his finances, and everything intact. With those odds, that's why, a lot of men are checking out of that whole thing. Lately, what's been happening is that women are now live streaming when they go on dates with men and making fun of them while on the date. Yeah, I wanted to do I got a video recently, and I actually want to do a live reaction at some point for that. But there was this becoming a trend now that women are taking men out and taking them to an expensive restaurant and then live streaming it and making fun of the guy the entire time. That's what men have to put up with. And then we hear, well, not all women. Well, again, if 4 out of 6 or 3, I'll just say, if half the time that's going to happen to you, those are horrible odds. And we've got society against us. I mean, tell me a commercial that you've seen that wasn't Married with Children era that men were not looked at as stupid.
Yeah. Like the last 15, 20 years.
Name one. Yeah.
Every time you turn on the TV, it's a married couple, and the man is this overweight, babbling idiot that doesn't know his head from his ass, and the woman is the independent rock that keeps the family together, intellectually, superior and things like that. Men are just not portrayed in very good lights like they were in the 80s and 90s. If you really think about just the number one complaint from men, which is financial stress, right? And think about how that whole thing just spirals down. You got the burdens of taking care of an entire family, the burdens of never being able to make bad decisions, the burdens of knowing that if you don't succeed, you're going to be replaced by another man. And then that leads to emotional suppression, and that leads to isolation. And that leads to bad and poor communication skills. And then that leads to poor conflict resolution. Because if the spiral keeps going down, superficially, it can inhibit the development or effectiveness of conflict resolution skills for men. Men may just avoid addressing conflicts altogether. And when they do, they struggle to navigate them constructively. So you've got these just opposing factors that men have to try to balance out. Moving on from the financial, aspect of, why it's a little challenging to be a man. Another one too is finding support. Like if you're a man and where's all the housing for men who lose it all and they're on the streets?
There is none. They don't get any cash and prizes. For women, all over the place, grants, funding. There are 2 domestic violence shelters for men in the entire United States. 2.
How many are there for women?
Thousands of them.
And so, again, this is not a bash women type of thing. This is just a awareness for men conversation, and not a shame on women conversation. I mean, men who suppress their emotions become men who do bad things in schools, and they do bad things in the subways, and they create heinous felonies. Men have to have a sound off or a group of other men, masculine role models, and for them to be able to understand how to suppress and handle these important emotions.
Yeah, back in my day, we'd all hang around the car working on, a car. My dad would come out and say, "Hey, I need my brakes done." Throw me the brakes, and I'd figure it out and get it done. That's one good way of teaching you. Nowadays, men are so ostracized in society that, and then they get people, they complain against them that all they want to do is play video games. That's almost the last place they can be to where they can get some kind of interaction, some kind of positivity is playing zombies or or playing online, going out and trying to do something. They're always being put down. Yeah. And it's just, it's horrible. And, I bring it up not as to whine, it's to to make people aware of it and to acknowledge it. And there's women out there like, oh, well, look, you know what? Look in the mirror. Do you do it? Are your friends doing it? And it's making that awareness and then starting to take steps to fix it. I mean, the fact that, you know, it's looked at societally that when a woman says I've been abused, everybody, including myself, has an initial white knight kind of feeling about it until you start pulling into the layers and go, ooh, well, not exactly. You find out, but your initial inclination is always to believe the woman, and it's okay then to destroy the man. I mean, we look at Amber Turd and Johnny Depp. That, I mean, that's I mean, that situation is very common, but that's the way it's looked at, and men are just checked. They're like, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. We're not winning here.
Yeah.
When we in a relationship, men aren't allowed to be men. We're not allowed to be leaders of the home. We, you know, our authority gets usurped on a daily basis until it all blows up. Then we're looked at as the bad guy.
Yeah.
But women want to have the stunning and braveness, and they want to, you know, again, usurp the authority of the man that they agreed to when they took the wedding vows. And then they want, you know, both sides. It's like they're not letting men be men. And then they're complaining when things go to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious.
One of my clients, on the terms of finding support, one of my clients, and I'll quote him, he said, it's really hard to find support. It feels like no matter what you do, it's wrong. Talk about thoughts and insecurities. You're either not a real man or burning someone with your emotional garbage.
Okay, I got women, remove "you're not a real man" from your vocabulary.
Yeah, please stop with that.
Remove it.
Just stop.
Sorry, that's
women.
a trigger.
Women cannot tell a man what it is to be a real man. Anyhow, women are failing at turning boys into men. They can't tell anyone that it failed, as in past tense, and all the stats and data support that one as well. But another thing that happens whenever you have a challenging time finding support for men is that you have these increased risky behaviors that start to come out in men. You know, without adequate support system, some men turn to these risky behaviors such as like substance abuse, self-harm, or even violence as an unhealthy coping mechanism for their emotional struggles, kind of like what I was just mentioning. They have difficulties in relationships. The inability for men to find support can strain relationships and future ones as well, because men, they struggle to communicate effectively with their partners or even friends, and that leads to misunderstandings and conflicts. I'm not going to say the S word, so I'll just say deletion. When it comes to men deleting themselves, men are more likely to die by self-deletion than women are. And the stats show a minimum of 3 up to about 5 times more likely to self-delete themselves than women, because the inability for emotional support or to find emotional support will lead to this disparity. And as men feel they have nowhere to turn when dealing with severe emotional stress, they take to the most heinous of all acts they could, and that's self-deletion.
And the bigger one, or one of the larger contributing factors, is divorce, which is initiated 70% of the time by women. These are well-known stats, because a man derives his worth from his, and I say the word possession, and it always gets viewed as wrong. Yeah.
Todd's spitting knowledge today, man. Todd is spitting
fire.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and read it. Another woman that tries to tell a man what it is to be a man, when the majority of these women never had a man in their life, will make him puke. Well said, dude.
Yeah.
There's also, when it comes to the lack of finding support, there's a limited self-awareness that I've noticed that men go through whenever I speak to them. It's very, very, their self-awareness is, it's just fogged, man. The absence of support hinders their ability to be self-aware and also self-develop.
Yeah.
Men have difficulties understanding their own emotions, their own needs,
Yep.
and that affects their personal growth and well-being. And this is one of the many reasons why boys who grow up without a father in the household do far worse in life than those who had a dad around.
And if you disagree, go to pissedoffparent.com. All the stats and data is there.
Yeah, don't believe me. Just go to pissedoffparent.com and you'll see all the stats that you need to support the things that are coming out of my mouth. And the reason why men are so important for other men or for boys that are growing to be men is because only a man can understand how difficult life is for other men. And here's why. Here's why. And this gets a whole lot of pushback, but I'm going to keep on saying it because I'm not going to tell a lie. This is the truth. Women live life on easy mode.
Yep.
Men live life on hard mode. You don't want, ladies, you don't want to be a man because all the privileges that you are blind to, that you get on a daily basis, becomes extremely apparent when you become a man. When you were 21, the entire world wanted you in their presence. You could do no wrong. You were rubbing elbows with rich men. You were getting into clubs for free. You were drinking for free. You were having the times of your life, and you never had to open your purse once. But try being a man at 21. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. Other women don't want you because you can't provide or give them anything because you're broke. And other men don't want you in the workforce because you don't have any competency.
Yeah.
And so in your 20s, these guys, the large majority of guys are not dating women in their 20s, men in their 20s, because these women are only looking for the top 20% of men. And those 20% of men either have the looks or the body or the swag or the money to give these women what they want.
Yeah.
And these bad boys that women chase break their hearts, put scars on them, and turns them into masculine women in their 30s and 40s. And then when the women get into their late 30s and they're unmarried without any children, or they do have children, but outside of wedlock, now they're turning and they're realizing, you know what? I've went ahead and had my 304 stage, and I think it's time for me to get serious. So I'm going to try to get one of the good guys that I passed up 50 times. I'm going to try to get one of them to marry me.
Yep.
And guys, and here's the problem: is these good guys who you broke their hearts 45 times, and they've been through the fire and came out on the other side better. They now have the pick of the litter because they now have the successful careers. They're making money. They're confident, and you didn't want them. You didn't want them when they were nobody. Now that there's someone, you expect them to be monogamous.
Yeah. If you ever uttered the phrase, "I'm ready to settle down," you're not going to get the high quality guy.
Oh, man, I tell you, dude, I'm going to start putting a hidden camera on my chest and start filming some of the dates that I go on and the conversations that I have, because these women will tell you everything that you need to know about them. And you know what? I'm not going to say it because there might be some watching this show right now, so I'm not going to say it. But I'll tell you after the show what I mean. But if you just let people talk, they'll tell you everything you need to know about them. So it's always really good to ask open-ended questions. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. If you want to know some really good inside tips, Jimmy Smith 300 on IG. Hit me up. I'll give you some inside tips on what question to ask. It's eye-opening, and you'll be able to weed them out quick. But let me digress and get right back to this damn podcast. So look at Todd in the comment section. I don't know what he's saying, but there's like
Todd's lit. He's like
8 in a row right now.
And another thing.
Damn it. So
striking a nerve.
I know what I was talking about. I was talking about why men were so important. Okay, so men understand how difficult life is for other men. So men understand that when they fall, no one's coming to save them. They understand that their good looks won't open up doors like it does for women. And the only thing that this world cares about is what a man can do for them. And it's a harsh reality that only men can understand, because only men know they are only loved for what they're able to provide.
And if you disagree, I'm going to make the statement. I know what it's like to be pregnant. see how absurd that sounds
Yeah.
to the ladies? Women trying to understand what men go through. When Jimmy tells me he's had, a tough week at work, when we're, BSing offline, and he's had a tough week, I know what he's saying. He's not saying maybe 5 dudes did hit on you this week and you just couldn't deal with it. I don't want to get in your personal life, but I've got confession time. But I get it. I mean, when we have another friend of ours that's going through some issues. We get it. We understand it like a female one, and it's not meant to degrade a woman. These are just the facts. And Jim, when you say guys live life on hard mode, we do. And for any woman that is like, walk a mile in my Uncle Eddie's shoes. I had to do it. Sorry.
You had to throw that in there, didn't you?
I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's it. That's an inside joke you guys don't know about.
Yeah, don't ask about it. Yeah. Don't. It's an inside
Anyways,
joke.
I'm looking for a new co-host, or if anyone wants to apply for the job, just let me know. But one of the guys I was talking about when it comes to finding support, that is, I wrote down his quote. He said, "As a single man in his 30s, no one cares about me, which is fine, but sometimes I just wish I had someone to vent to." That's what he said.
Oh, dude, when I got divorced, my first divorce, I had one, my heterosexual life mate buddy. He was there like a rock for me. Thank God I had him. I had nothing. I had 2 boys, a nutty ex, and the world pounding down on me, coming after me, doing everything.
Yeah.
All of my friends, all of my family disowned me just like a fart in the breeze. When a man faces adversity, they all go bye-bye. For the women, not so much. They all cry. Oh, what can we do for you? All you got to do is write, "I'm a single mom" on any post, and you're going to get free furniture, and go here and do this, and you can get that done. And guys don't have that. We don't.
Okay, let's talk about something else that sucks about being a man. And this is one I hear all the time. Dating apps. Apps. Oh man, let me tell you something. Dating has what one of my boys said, dating has largely switched over to dating apps in recent years over to traditional methods of meeting people. And he said, unfortunately, due to how many men there are on them versus women, the apps just don't favor men. The emotional toll that I've noticed that it places on these guys, you can't overlook it, man. Constantly dealing with rejection, ghosting, unresponsive matches.
What's your credit report? What's your balance sheet? The resume before you even go on the date. If you get swiped on, I mean, what are the numbers? Like the average guy gets maybe 1 or 2 swipes a month, I think.
Yeah. So for every 100 swipes that a man makes, he gets between 0 and 5 matches per 100.
Wow.
Think about that, ladies. You guys, again, easy mode, hard mode. Let me give you another example. Every time you swipe on a guy, it's a match. You swipe on another guy, it's a match.
Shocker.
These guys are swiping and no matches. Yep. Can you imagine how you guys would feel, ladies, if 95% of every guy you swiped on did not swipe on you and only 5 out of 100 did, if you're lucky?
Well, I think we have 2 examples. We had one young lady that decided to live her life as a man for 2 years because she didn't believe men live life on hard, women live it on easy. And after 2 years, she self-deleted.
She did.
You heard about that one. The next one is a girl said, Jimmy, you're full of crap here. It's just as easy for men. Or it's roughly the same, we're equal, whatever. And so she set up a male profile or a guy's profile and went in there at, a 5 or a 6 in her mind, guy, and then, typical whatever, nothing. And she's like, I couldn't deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the emotional toll that it can place on a lot of these guys, it potentially leads to feelings of inadequacy, loneliness, depression, things like that. Dating apps also prioritize for the first time in the courting process from female to male, not from male to female, but from female to male. For the first time in the history of courting, it now prioritizes physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Women have not by nature chosen men for their looks.
Yeah.
I'm not saying women don't like good looking men, but let's be honest here. Women are choosing men for their ambition, their success, their ability to provide, their ability to protect, and they still do. I'm not saying they don't, but on a dating app, men, they're now looked at for their looks more than ever have, including their height. And these guys cannot, they can't change how tall they are. So, that leads to like shallowness and a focus on looks over personality and compatibility. And I'm just going to be a jerk, man. Ladies, how's that working out for you?
And then they have unrealistic expectations. You had Gorlock the Destroyer thinking she's a 10.
Oh my God. No, hopefully you guys know who Gorlock the Destroyer is. If not, Google it and you'll see exactly what I dare you. Google it.
Believes she's a 10 wholeheartedly.
Yeah. That woman or that man who is transitioned to a woman believes that. No lies. So here's what it's done for men. Okay. The dating apps, men are now feeling the pressure to conform to certain beauty standards, leading to like body image issues and low self-esteem. The increased competition is placing a toll on men.
Wearing
with the
sweet suits.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys check out that white jacket from last week? Oh no, it was the week before. It was the week before. Yeah, this is the face of jealousy right here.
Face of jealousy. I am jealous as can be.
That's the face of jealousy. So, the competition out there, with the surplus of male users on these dating apps, men are facing fierce competition for a very limited number of female users. And again, that becomes frustrating. The low response rates and the reduced self-esteem.
But they're delusional because, as we've pointed out a million times, a guy, a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 will sleep down every day of the week, a 1, 2, 3, 4, any day of the week. It doesn't necessarily work the other way, but if a 6, 7, 8 is sleeping with, say, a 3, just kind of bring the numbers down, then that 3 starts honestly believing that they can marry or have a long-term relationship with a 6, 7, or 8, and that's not the case. Yeah. So they have this delusion that they can get a better guy than what they could actually get, which is also because they'll say, "Oh, I'm not going to. This guy, I believe I'm Gorlock the 10. I believe I should get a 7, 8, 9, or 10. This guy's a 5, which in the real world would be the best guy in the he must be like Stevie Wonder or something." And she's like, "Nah, I couldn't see myself with him. He doesn't make 6 figures. He's not 6 foot tall, so on and so forth."
Yeah. Speaking of my sweet white jacket, someone remembers it.
The Miami Vice.
Todd remembers my sweet white jacket. But I'm actually curious. People who are listening on Facebook, people who are listening on YouTube, while I'm thinking about it, do me a favor, real quick, hit that like button if you don't mind. Also, if you feel that someone could use gain some value from this podcast today, don't be afraid to share it. You have my utmost permission to share this video with someone, and then hit the subscribe button so that way whenever Dwayne or myself or Eric or any of the shows on Dad Talk Today goes live, you'll be notified by it. Yeah. And also too, if you guys are listening through this live right now, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section. Yeah. I'll read it. If you don't want it to be read, that's fine. I won't read that one either. But I'm curious to see if you guys actually agree, or if you don't, put your questions or comments or concerns in there. So another thing too is, another thing that is difficult in today's modern world of being a man is the sense of loss from having few friends. It's not like one of the guys I worked with said, it's not just the loneliness. It's not in a like, woe is me, this is a crisis type of way. It's more in this pit in the stomach yearning and sense of loss that he felt seeing how many friends, his father had in his 40s and 50s, and how he'll never have that many friends.
Right.
These guys that are in their 20s and 30s are looking at their fathers and grandfathers and seeing how many friends, the quality of friends those guys have, and realizing they have like 2 friends. So the loneliness can really have a severe impact on their health consequences.
Yeah.
Because men who lack friends, they feel isolated. That contributes also to mental health issues. It also contributes to like physical health problems, again, like the blood pressures and the weakened immune systems. This is all backed by science and data. And the social development, or I should say lack thereof, friendships play a crucial role in the development of social skills. We know that. And a lack of friends will hinder a man's ability to build and maintain friendships, affecting personal and professional lives. So, ladies, if you have little boys, make sure they get out there. If you can, try to put them in some sort of martial arts or some sort of sport, if it's possible, if that's something they want to do. But if not, there are lots of groups out there, Boy Scouts, things like that, where you don't have to be athletic to be a part of it. If your kid loves to play video games, then, don't get too mad at him if he does the multi-online games, because he might have a friend in California, a friend in New York that he meets up with from time to time. And that might be some of the only friends he has, but it would be much better for them to interact on a face-to-face type of way. Man, I remember when I was a kid, we were never inside. My mom would kick us out of the apartment, and we were not even allowed to come back in to use the bathroom. If we were thirsty because it was a hot, scorching summer day, we'd have to turn on the spigot and drink out of a garden hose. And I'm not lying. We literally drank out of a garden hose outside to get water because our parents do not want us inside the house.
Right.
And you were allowed to go wherever you wanted to, but as soon as your mom says, dinner's ready, you better be an earshot of that, because then you'd be in trouble. It was a different time.
But the light turns on,
Yeah, the street lights turn on, it's time to get your butt home. Another thing too is feeling burdened. Men are feeling more burdened than they ever have been before. One of the guys I work with said that you're raised to believe that it's all on you.
Because it is.
Succeed or fail, man. It's all on you.
It is.
And many, many, many men walk silently, feeling like their existence is inherently a burden. They just feel like their existence on this planet is nothing but a burden. And that just breaks my heart, man, because a lot of people, a lot of women, and I'm not throwing shade your way, ladies. I love you, but you guys just don't understand what some of these guys go through, man. It's difficult. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, well, I don't have a man in the house, so I'm the man. So I know what it's like because I'm tasked with the burden of providing for my family. It ain't the same.
No,
it ain't the same. And trust me, whenever you do get a man, you'll take that VP role and allow him to do the burden. So you may be doing the burden now, but it's only temporary until you find the kind of guy you want. Another one too, why it kind of stinks to be a man in today's world is that it's difficult to support a family with a blue collar job nowadays.
Yeah,
the rapid inflation. I mean, you've got to be
back better,
dude. I tell you, man. Blue collar jobs are very dominated by men, and they likely will always be.
Oh, yeah.
Without these jobs, the infrastructure of society will collapse. Okay. However, with inflation the way that it is, it's becoming more and more challenging for hardworking blue collar men to make enough to provide for a family. In our grandparents' age, you could be a plumber. You could throw, like, grown men were throwing the newspaper. They were delivering milk to doors. I mean, right. they were fishermen. They were the butcher down the street, and they had good, honest.
Well, the expectations have changed too. I mean, I'm not going to disagree on the inflation and all that. The build back generation there, but expectations for the household. You've got cell phones. I've got to have internet. I've got to have this. I've got to have the 5 bedroom, 2-story rich neighborhood, because that's the expectations. You know, a guy is single, and when he marries a woman, you know, she's like, well, I expect this. I expect all these expectations are laid at his feet, and he's like, I've got to figure this out. And that's what men have to do all the time. And those expectations always change because for some reason they keep wanting more stuff. Oh, well, you took me on a trip. Well, I got to go on a better trip. Oh, you got me a car. Oh, I got to get a better car. Oh, well, I got to get the latest, iPhone or Android. And it becomes an expectation, not a privilege or what makes the most sense for the family. It's, well, I want this. And if you can't do it, you're no good. I'll find someone else that will. And for people that are like, oh, that would never happen, 70% of all divorces are filed by women, with 70% of that because unhappy.
Yeah. And if the woman is college educated, they file divorce up to 90%.
Yeah.
And these are not numbers we're making up. It's all very easily verifiable. When I was talking about blue collar jobs with some of the guys that I talk to and work with, one of the guys I was talking to said, not being able to afford a family home for your wife and kids, even though you work full time, is extremely demoralizing.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a question by Joy. Joy says,
okay.
So men feel less masculine if a woman wants to help instead of carrying all the weight. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that men feel less masculine if a woman wants to help. I think that in today's world, with inflation being so bad and so high, you almost can't make it without two people doing it. In today's world, honestly, if you're around a group of guys and you start talking about what your woman does for a living, and one guy says that she's a stay-at-home mom, it's kind of a flex. Yeah. It kind of shows you that you're making a whole boatload of money because it's so hard for that to happen. I will tell you this, though, Joy. I would say that if a woman is making more money than her man, I think he will feel a little less masculine in that regard. And it also changes the power dynamics in the relationship. And it's not for a good way. It's oftentimes for a bad way, So there's a lot of pressure there. What's your take on it, Dwayne?
Well, I would want to ask her what she means by helping. Now, you went right to the financial aspect of it.
Yeah, I assume that's what she was talking about.
Yeah,
wrong.
Mine's kind of the bigger picture, or maybe I don't say bigger picture, but maybe from a different perspective. The helping part is like he's the man of the house, and that structure is set up that way. Helping to me would be letting him be the man of the house, because at least for this man, being the man of the house is, I've got certain pressures and I'm fine with those as long as I'm the man of the house.
Yeah.
When my authority is usurped, or I listen to stunning and brave nonsense, or get made fun of, or all the feminazi nonsense that comes out, then that's where I that demasculates me.
Sure. And I was right. She was talking about,
okay, financially.
Yeah.
To your point, in today's world, unfortunately, with the Build Back Better nonsense, inflation's gotten ridiculous. And if you don't know what I mean by Build Back Better, I can't help you. Inflation and putting free money out. Well, okay, I'm going to stop there. But inflation being what it is, the cost of housing, the deflation of income and all that, it is virtually impossible. Only, I think it's what the top 5 to 10% of people can afford to be I'm a single income earner. So I'm like one of the 5 or 10% or whatever. I think it's I'll just say 10% raw numbers, maintaining, a house. So I don't know how I would feel. I guess it all depends on how it gets used. So there's the other, just to get real. If, all of a sudden the electric bill gets knocked out 1 month or whatever, well, I get a 50% say in the house, meaning that her position is now equal to mine. That takes away from I'm the man of the house, which is then going to cause problems. I'm just, being real about that aspect of it.
Yeah. And when Steve feels that it does, he thinks that, he may accept the help, but he still will feel a little emasculated. So You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose that in some way, I agree with Dwayne. I think that I think it depends on how the help is done. You know, but more and more, I do see that two income households is pretty much needed to live in the.
It's a norm. Yeah, it's definitely become the norm. It's how that's done. If it is, hey, we are a team. I mean, oh, God forbid the team mentality were to come back into style again, and we're both creating our empire. We're both putting money in to get to that end goal and have retirement and all that. It'd just be amazing if that became a societal norm. It doesn't. What happens is, okay, I knocked out the electric bill, or I got the water, whatever that bill is, and then all of a sudden you never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately, and I've got to go there, that's what happens.
It does, man. And that's a good point. And I think let's kind of touch on that real quick, and let's not gloss over it. Ladies, at the end of the day, you know, if you were to ask 1,000 women, if you could only choose one, I know you want both, and so do we, but if you could only choose one, do you want your man to respect you, or do you want your man to love you? Most women will probably say they want their man to love them. If you ask the same question for men, it'll be different though. Most men would want a woman's respect over love. We want both, but if we could only choose one, it's much better to have her respect him than it is for him to necessarily love him, because it will change. And one of the ways that women unknowingly disrespect their man is by throwing things back into his face. If your man feels safe enough, or he just has a really bad day and he shares one of his emotions with you, and you throw that back in his face on the next argument, you can almost guarantee that he'll never talk to you about that shit again. And the same thing with the financial thing too, right? I mean, men get touchy. I've been in sales most of my life, and when a female comes in to buy a product that I'm selling, and I'm overcoming objections to try to make the sale, it's easier for me to touch on the money objection with her. But when I get a man buying the same gadget widget and I run across the money objection with him, I tread lightly, because men will get disrespected if you make that man feel that he can't afford that.
Oh, yeah. Right?
So you got to really touch lightly. You're going to need to say something like, listen, even the most affluent customers, sir, have their budgets. And I'm just curious, what budget did you allow for, not what you can afford, but everyone has their budget. Is there a budget I should be respectful of? I'll say something like that.
Wow, you're a good salesman.
Thanks. So
most salesmen would go, well, I guess if you can't afford it, and basically embarrass him into doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a different breed. Yeah.
And that's and I would not recommend that tactic, because I think it'll upset your customer more than it'll help. If you guys want my opinion, like me personally, if I had a woman and we're living together and she was a working woman, right? Mm-hmm. This is how I would prefer my personal household. I would like to pay all the bills, and then her income goes to saving aggressively for our retirement and also to finance our vacations during the year. So I'll take on the lion's share, let's call it the 80%, and then whatever she makes, depending on how much she makes, right? But whatever she makes will fund the vacations, and it'll aggressively fund the retirement plans. I think that would be how I would probably want to run my household, depending on how much she makes. So if she makes 30 grand or 130 grand, that'll make things look a little different, of course, but that's kind of my take. But Joy, I appreciate the comment. Steve, I appreciate the comment. Mike says, oh, that's Mike from Switzerland, isn't it? Isn't that Mike from Switzerland?
Maybe.
No, dude, that guy right there, he made some bad comments about my sweet white jacket the other day. I'm just joking, Mike. I love you, Bo. So he says, evening, man, I hate it. 60 minutes. Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Notification. It is, yep, the Swiss guy. Boom. So it is nearing about 2:00 in the morning where Mike's at. Yeah. So Mike, it's good to see you again, buddy. So let's get back to it. So let's go to another thing that men are complaining about in today's world. I personally don't have this issue, but Dwayne will, and that is the lack of barbershops. Good barbershops.
We have good barbershops. I just refuse to go. It costs $40 to get a haircut. $40. I'm wanting the Flowbee to come back.
So, barber shops are becoming an overpriced and kind of full of BS from what I hear. I can't speak for myself, but apparently, the guys are complaining that they don't want to play pool or the PS5 and drink overpriced beer while he waits an hour to get his hair cut because there's only one artist, available for the whole salon. So is that really a big deal? Because that's what I'm hearing.
Well, yeah, because the ones around here. So you go in and they have either a pool table, pinball table, skee ball, and they'll have beer, and then they'll then want to give you a manicure and a pedicure, and I don't know. I mean, hey, good on you if that's your thing, but that just doesn't hit me. And I'm not a sports guy. They of course have the game up there, and it's not an experience that is worth $40 plus $20 tip.
Yeah, I mean, even in Switzerland, they're $50 for a haircut. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
I want the Flowbee. We need to bring the Flowbee back and wrap this up. Actually, the wife was saying my hair is getting a little long, which
for the record, I can still grow hair. Okay, I can. I just choose not to. It's a choice. Right. It's a personal choice of mine.
They won't be able to identify, you and I on camera. They don't.
Yeah. Otherwise, we look identical. Him and I. We're like basically twins up here.
Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
I mean, to Todd's point, I bought myself what is it called? It looks like one of those face shavers, but it's for your head. It's
the little hover.
A pit bull. It's called a pit bull. I got the Pit Bull Pro Gold or whatever. I think it's like $60-$70, and you can do it in the shower and everything, man. So I mean, I'm good to go.
Well, you're saving time on shampoo anyway. You might as well throw that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saving money on shampoo, conditioner. Plus, if I start letting this grow out here, I'll be just too damn sexy. I've got to save some for the rest of Fabio.
Yeah,
exactly. You don't want me to grow my luscious curls out again, okay? I'll bring back the Jackson 5 up in this biatch. All right. So another thing that men are complaining about are that the roles are changing. No surprise there. No surprise there. Like the quote that I got, and let me read what I wrote down that he said. He said, roles are changing. Here it is. The old way was the man was the provider, was the protector of the family, opened doors for women, etc. Now we're in a modern society and traditional roles are changing. As a man, I feel like I'm still expected to do a lot of the traditional things and more modern things.
Okay, it's in there. My wife has, I say never opened up a car door, and there's been other women that have pointed that out, like, in a positive way, like, oh my God, that's something else. But I like the traditional ways, and it seems weird that women like the traditional values to a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like they like to pick and choose, which confuses the hell out of men.
And which ones are they picking and choosing? They're picking and choosing the ones that favor them.
Exactly. Well, let's just talk about a date you may have went on at some point in time. Where's the waiter, waitress put the bill? Who always gets it?
They slide it to me.
Why does it always go to the men?
Women love traditional men until it's time for them to be traditional women, and then that kind of changes.
Yeah, it's like you need to figure out which one. You can't pick and choose. Because a man generally wants a traditional woman, and she says she's a traditional woman until it comes time to be a traditional woman, and then they want to pick and choose. They want the car doors open. They want to pay for dinner. They want when there's a noise or breaking glass at night to do that, but then they want to, say they want to have more of a say so in other aspects of the family life. There's just I could go on and on for hours on this one, having 51 years experience across the board, but it's one of those make your mind up. Either you're traditional or you're not, and why. But anyway, at the end of the day, men are confused because we don't know. One moment you want tradition, and then the next minute you want to be treated like a modern, stunning, and brave.
It's kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're kind of screwed on both sides, because if you're with a beautiful woman on a date, you have to front the bill. But as Michael pointed out, even if you're by yourself and you go to a restaurant, you still got to front the bill. Damn it, Sandry. Damn it. Good point, Mike. Good point. So moving on, let's talk about some other things that's challenging for men to navigate today in this modern era that we live in. Is a lot of men I've noticed was lacking purpose. Have you noticed that too?
Oh yeah, big time.
I do. A lack of purpose. These guys out here, Dwayne, and they have literally said this. They literally tell me, Jimmy, I just want to feel useful to someone. But I don't see what I offer my friends. I don't see what I offer my girlfriend, my family, or my employer that they can't get better from other people. And that's tough, man.
Wow.
I mean, think about how that feels, right? Like there's always a better guy out there. There's always a better candidate. There could be a better friend, perhaps. And these guys out there, like if you're a dude and you're just straight up average. Now, that doesn't mean an insult. Most of us are average, right?
Yeah.
If you're just an average guy right across the board, you're not excelling, but you're not doing bad. You're just moving right down the freaking, right down that, that line there. You're always kind of wondering in the back of your mind, is there like people can literally just replace me. My girlfriend could get a better guy. My friends could probably get a better friend.
You can get divorced in a heartbeat. That's a fear every man has. Let me look into the screen on that one. Every man has the fear that his world can be turned upside down at a moment's notice for no reason whatsoever. Every single day, every man has to live in that fear.
Yeah, sure do. Want to give Mike Keller a shout out for his super contribution. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Do appreciate it, guys. If you guys want your comments read or you want to contribute to the show, you can go to Patreon. You can go to Venmo. Dad Talk Today, no spaces, and donate to the platform. Every donation is appreciated. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you, buddy. Lacking the purpose can, of course, give you a reduced motivation in life, right? Because without a purpose, men struggle to find motivation to pursue their goals, their ambitions, and that impacts their personal and professional development. When you look at the things that men and women cherish the most from what they get out of their lives, oftentimes women will tell us that their purpose is they create people. They bring people into this world, the brand new babies, baby boys, baby girls, and their children are their biggest purpose in life. For men, it's not that their children are not, but men want to create legacies. And in order for a man to create legacies, he's got to build something. That's why men are very hyper-focused on things and women are hyper-focused on people. And so men have to, whatever the purpose may be, they have to be accomplishing something. If you want to know why a man is depressed, if you show me a depressed man, I'll show you a person with no purpose. Because when men have purpose and they're pursuing something, I don't care if it's a fitness goal, I don't care if it's a build a new business goal or a side business, men have to be doing something, and they're their happiest when they are. So when men are lacking purpose, they're going to feel less motivated, and they're going to have a loss of direction, because without a clear sense of purpose, men may drift throughout life without clear direction or goals, and that can lead to a lack of fulfillment and feelings of feeling lost. One thing, we talked about the barbershops for Dwayne. Can we get personal?
Let's get personal.
Okay, because the next thing is balding. Okay, it's balding. So I want you to hold your laughter, Dwayne. Okay. No laughing, because this hurts my heart. Dwayne, I want to talk about balding.
Balding. Okay. All right.
So, one of the guys that I work with, he was saying that, his balding started back in high school, and he just went full chrome dome by the end of high school. Guys who are losing their hair, that does affect their feelings of worthiness. Now, guys like me, I just embrace it. I don't give two hoots. Thankfully, the Lord gave me a pretty good shaped head, but some guys are not that attractive bald. But aesthetic concerns, right? Some of the most obvious reasons is the change in appearance. Many men associate a full head of hair with like youth and vitality, so I can get it. I understand. And balding for some men can lead to a loss of self-esteem, self-confidence, And, some individuals will actually say that they feel a little less attractive, or they feel like they're older than they actually are. It affects the dating and relationships. Some men feel that their balding makes them less attractive and can impact their success on relationships and even on the dating market. This perception can lead to a reduced self-esteem. And you look like you're about to laugh. I thought
no. There was a comment made. There was a comment made that we can't read. I'm sorry.
I thought we agreed on no laughing.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing near you. There was a comment that was made in the comment section.
Who's talking shit? Is it Todd or Mike? It's either one of them.
It wasn't shit. Todd did make a comment with. There was. I didn't think we were going to put that up on air, but okay.
I put it up on air.
All right. That's why I was laughing.
Oh man,
if that was the case, I'm going to get my razor out.
Yeah, we're going to shave you chrome dome next.
Exactly.
So the societal perception, places a premium on physical appearance, just like we talked about, right? So to some guys, balding can lead to social stigmatization, of course, causing men to be judged, discriminated against based on their looks. And I get it. I'm on social media. If I say something that some people don't like, the first thing they do is tell me that who hurt you, the bald guy. It's like, whatever.
Well, I have a lifetime of women hurting me. So, if they ask me, like, why does it appear that I have a little bit of angst towards women in general? I would say I have a lifetime of women trying to hurt me, murder me, take my possessions and all that. So yeah, you want to know? That's who's hurt me. Yeah.
Another thing too, that really gets to men that they complain about being a man in today's world is that men are sick and tired of hearing that all men are trash. Sick of it. I'm tired of pretending that it doesn't suck to hear my girl or people, my friends say that all men suck. We'd be better off without men, some of the guys that I talked to told me that they know that these people don't mean it entirely, but when you hear it enough times, it's hard to feel as though they don't actually mean it. Growing up as a man, again, I've said this 1,000 times on the last 35, 34 podcasts we've done. If you are short, the world will be happy to tell you that you're short. If you're bald, they will call you bald. If you're fat, the world will call you fat. But it doesn't work the same way for women. If you are balding as a woman, then you just put on a wig and that's socially acceptable. As a matter of fact, it's almost to this point kind of expected that that's not your real hair if you're a woman.
Oh yeah, you can have your ex-husband slap a show host if you're bald.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're a man and you're broke, the world tells you that you're broke. But if you are overweight as a woman, they just tell you that you're
body positivity.
Yeah, big and bold and beautiful.
They have magazines dedicated to you. If a man's fat, he's fat. That's
you can look at Sports Illustrated or the swimsuit edition that we all grew up respecting, and now it has morbidly obese women on it.
Yeah,
because of the positive body movement that we go to. Let me ask you a question though: if this was all about positive bodies, where's the overweight, morbidly obese men models?
There aren't any,
because we're supposed to be equal. And this is about body positivity, which means that's a blanket for us all, but it's not.
No,
that's my point. It's not about body positivity. It's only about an exception to let women's neglect, women's lack of discipline not be used against them. Women do not want to be held accountable for their lack of discipline, for their high body counts, for having babies out of wedlock, for having 17 baby daddies. They don't want to be held accountable to anything anymore. If it truly was about body positivity, then we should be able to see overweight, morbidly obese men on the cover of Men's Health magazine like we do on the women's covers, but we don't. And I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. That's all I'm doing. So, whenever men grow up being told that they're trash, it promotes negative self-identity, right? It's obvious. The phrase can shape how men perceive themselves and their gender. It can lead to negative self-identity, feelings of guilt or shame for just simply being a man. Men are out there right now feeling guilt and shame for being born a man because they're tired of hearing that all men are trash. And when you get told something so many times, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
Just like when an unattractive woman gets told all her life that she's beautiful, she starts to believe it when it's simply not the truth. It's the same thing. It also fosters, like when you tell men are trash, tell men that they are trash, it fosters division and resentment. Blanket statements like this creates a divide between men and women and fosters resentment amongst the sexes. It can make healthy relationships and communication between the genders more difficult by telling boys that men are trash. Men are tired of feeling like they are a danger to the women around them. They're tired of feeling, they're tired of being told that they're toxic. They're tired of hearing the women say that they need pepper spray when they walk down the street because they're afraid of men like us because we're going to jump on them and assault them or something, you know? Folks, when's the last time you saw a woman walk down the street with a black eye?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you listen to the amount of hate that is presented towards men, you think that 4 out of 10 women out there are walking around black eyes with all the hate that gets thrown men's way. And I'm just saying that men, you know, men are not out there creating these harmful, awful things, certainly not in mass. Is there a bad apple here and there? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, look, there are tons of female prisons and they're all full too. So it ain't just men out there committing crimes, okay?
But on that note, they get the free pass way more than men do. Well, men don't get the free pass. So they had a couple days ago, a woman was inappropriately touching a teenage boy, like a 12-year-old. So I shouldn't even say teenager. The judge just let her off as a misunderstanding, and it was over the top. She inebriated, whatever. A man would have went to prison for 10 years and had to register as a offender and you name it. Yeah, when you look, and again, go to pissedoffparent.com if you disagree with anything being said here. Prison sentences, hands down. You go, Steve. It is ridiculous. You can go on the grape culture. If you go to pissedoffparent.com, there's data in there that talks about how often it actually happens with how much is being reported as happening. Domestic violence, go to my Women That Abuse page, and you'll see data after data, video, pictures, you name it, that talk about who actually commits more violence.
Yep.
But society tells you that men are bad.
It does, man. And guys are just kind of sick of hearing it. And the last thing I wanted to point out today about why it may not be the most pleasurable thing in the world to be a man in today's world is the feelings that men have of not being useful anymore. When I go back to talking about leaving a legacy, creating something, building something, when men now more than ever are feeling useless, it really puts a big toll on them. And a friend of mine said that no one is interested in your existence unless you are useful. The expectation is always more, and you can't expect anything in return. We pay for support or we are alone. Being everything other than 100% results in being treated like a disease. Like I wrote down that
while you're giving 100%.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on that. I mean, how many dinners have you paid for that you weren't thanked for? How many electric bills have you knocked out that you're not thanked for, that you're talked down to? How many times have you been told that what you provide isn't good enough? How many times have, all the people talk smack behind your back while you're providing for them? Or they do it to your face and treat you like garbage.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
Getting a little triggered, but I got 51 years of dealing with this nonsense. And part of this is a little bit to whine, but it's also people need to acknowledge this stuff and that acknowledge that it's happening and start going about fixing it, because we're getting tired.
Yeah.
And the data shows that we have gotten tired of this nonsense.
You're right. Men who don't feel useful, it will struggle. They'll struggle in their relationships if they don't feel useful.
Well, we can't feel useful because you know what? We can have everything stolen from us. I wake up every single day, this is God honest truth, going that for any reason, my wife could decide she doesn't want to be married to me anymore and take all of my stuff.
Yeah.
That is a cold, hard fact. And being told it'll never happen. I've been married 3 times. It's already happened twice. It happens to men all the time. It doesn't. And I say it doesn't. If she is a music star or has lots of money, it does happen the other way. But men generally make more money and have the assets that the courts can steal to pay for their yachts and pay their kids' braces.
Yeah.
Every man, every single day, wakes up with the knowledge, not the idea or the whatever, that if his spouse decides she doesn't like him anymore, 70% of the time, and that's why divorces happen. 70% of the time is I don't like him anymore. There's a newer, glammier. I'm not happy anymore. She can take everything he has ever acquired. Every man, every freaking day, wakes up with that knowledge.
And you know what? You don't even have to step out of your marriage in order for that to happen to some of these guys. If you live in a state that's considered a no-fault state, you could literally come home.
All of them. All 50 states. And don't get me started about across the pond and everywhere else. In the United States, speaking just here, all 50 states are no-fault divorce. Any woman can wake up any day, decide she's not happy, and let's just admit it, y'all are planners, and screw a guy over and take everything he's ever made, make sure he never sees his kids again, kills him with child support, takes all of his assets, say he's abused his children, and 80% of the time it sticks, even though 80% of the time is false data. You can go to the website and try to prove me wrong there. He wakes up every single day with that knowledge.
Yeah. And you're right. Women are planners. I mean, they will strategize this stuff out. I have heard so many times, so many stories about women who open up secret bank accounts and they start stashing money back in case they ever want to leave her man. I hear about men who are very good at providing, and these women will collect these gifts, jewelry or things like that, and they'll collect them. But the only reason why they're collecting them is not because they want them. They're collecting them so that way they can sell them, and whenever they leave the man who bought them for them.
My ex-wife, this is what I mean. She would go to Walmart and get people. She would say, "I'll buy your groceries for you. Give me the cash for it. Give me a gift card." So she'd get like $300 worth of groceries, and she'd get a gift card. She stacked up those gift cards over like 3 or 4 years. That's when I hear. And again, she's not that intelligent, but they teach classes on this stuff. Huh. I know about these. You can watch some of the videos on pissedoffparent.com if you don't believe me. They teach these classes, and men have to wake up every single day with that knowledge. We will never feel secure until, and even after they put us in the ground. We have to think about our legacy, what we think we want our assets to go to, and where we're going to leave our legacy. No, it can change on a whim. That's what we wake up with every single day. At least this guy does.
Yeah. And so, I just wanted to do a quick podcast to be the voice of how many men out there, what they're kind of feeling, what they're going through. Again, I hope that you guys didn't take it as women bashing, because that's certainly not what I wanted it to be. I just wanted to raise awareness and be a sounding board for so many men who do not or cannot be a sounding board for themselves. And in closing, my thoughts are this: the powers that be on the internet and the cancel culture of today's world were like for me to remind all of you that despite the challenges we mentioned today, that we should all strive for a more inclusive and equitable society where everyone, regardless of their gender, can thrive and be their authentic selves. The powers that be on the internet want me to tell you guys that while it's true that there are unique difficulties that some men face, it's equally vital to work together to break down the barriers that affect us all. And the powers that be that can cancel my show want me to remind you that fostering an environment of understanding and empathy and support for everyone. And by doing so, we can create a world where individuals of all genders can easily and truly flourish and become and overcome the challenges that they face. So let's all strive for a better future where everyone can live a more equitable, compassionate, and conclusive world. So that's the public service announcement that I wanted to make sure I said. That way I don't personally get canceled for these misogynistic viewpoints that I have. But you want to know what my opinion is? Here's my opinion. I say that's all BS. I say never listen to the opinions of non-traditional women and weak men. That's what I say. I say that their lack of desire to compete or their avoidance of putting in the work needed to acquire the men and women that they want will fuel their hatred of the men and women they desperately wish they could be. I say, have you noticed that the only ones who ever criticize you are the ones that are beneath you? Because the people that are doing better than you don't criticize you. They actually encourage you. When women tell men that they want motivated, ambitious, respectful, chivalrous, and masculine men who lead, the only men crying about it are the pot-smoking, parent-living, porn-watching, uncompetitive, broke men that don't want to put in the work needed to get their money, their body, and personal infrastructure right. So instead, they'll just try to convince the rest of us that those traits don't make you a better man, that being ambitious and working out and being masculine doesn't make you a better man because they're not willing to put the work in. That's what I believe. I say that when men tell women that we want fit, feminine women with low body counts and no children outside of wedlock, have you noticed that the only ones who criticize you about that are the overweight women with double-digit body counts and dress sizes?
Double-digit?
Just saying. The same women who are giving their exes, who they would call losers, they're giving them babies and expecting you to help raise them. And if you don't want to marry an overweight baby mama of 4, then you really aren't a real man, I guess, in today's world.
Not a real man.
Oh, you're not a real man.
Not
and let me tell you something. These women will be happy to tell you what a real man looks like. They love to do that. So my thought is it's important. It's important to acknowledge that while there are undoubtedly changes that men face in today's world, it's equally essential to recognize that the goal is not to pit one gender against the other. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is we're just simply exposing the hypocrisy of today's world. And we're talking about the effects that it has on our men today. Yep. Men are more confused in nearly every aspect of what it is to be a man. And it's not just going to keep getting worse until we change it. Both men and women need to stand up and teach the repercussions for a woman to sleep around and get as big as she wants. And those repercussions usually are that they will end up 40 plus unmarried and unhappy. We must teach women and men that there's repercussions for their decisions. We're not telling them that you got to go to the gym. Do whatever it is you want. What I'm telling you, though, is if you don't, there'll be a repercussion. If you're a man and you want to watch pornography all day and play the PlayStation, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that if you do that, there will be repercussions. Right. I think that we need to teach men that the repercussions for being weak, uncompetitive, lazy, and feminine are limited access to the type of women that you are going to want and a life of depression and not living a legacy. That's my opinion. You want to hear another unpopular opinion? I'll give you one. We need to bring back shaming.
Yeah. Public shaming and public hangings.
We need to bring back honest talks that may hurt feelings. Yeah. We need to bring back discipline to the youth of this world.
We need to bring back 5-year-old honesty.
Yeah.
If a 5-year-old tells you you're ugly, you ugly.
There are 3 things that never lie: drunk people, children, and yoga pants.
Yeah.
So my thought is if we don't do this, then what's going to happen is we're going to all be without long-lasting, meaningful relationships. And I feel that we are doomed to live miserable lives riddled in regret. We have to be honest. We must learn what it is that the opposite sex wants from their partner, and we have to give them what is needed. Because although times may be changing, our evolutionary wants and desires are not changing anytime soon. That's my thoughts for the day. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today for today's episode of The Big Show, hosted by me, Jimmy Smith. I really do appreciate it. On behalf of my co-host, Dwayne Ward, and Eric Carroll on Dad Talk Today, keep pushing to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And guys, we will see you here next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.